Hey, good morning. Welcome to another um, ramble, if you like, from me. Um, Today I'm going to talk about our well-being, all our well-being. Um, Often we see and hear in mainstream media, not often, constantly we hear and see mainstream media, um, men and women with, physical bodies and just in amazing shape. Um, and that becomes the that has become the standard in the Western world, at least, and the ideal that the images keep being pushed on us. That's what we should achieve. We should be finely honed. We talk about getting a beach body, summer body, and all of those types of things. All of those things telling us, in fact, really, as well at the same time, that we're not enough because most of us don't have those bodies. Those aren't real people. Those are models. Yet that's the image that keeps being perpetuated, or the narrative, and then that's what gets into our psyche. Yet actually, when it comes to the other elements of well-being, when it comes to our mind, when it comes to our spirit, it's like, well, if you work on your mind, if you try and do anything that is cognitive driven or emotionally driven, in terms of emotional intelligence, you don't want to do that. There's no big push for any of that. In fact, it's frowned on in many ways. People who study, it's frowned on. What are you learning? What are you trying to understand? Reading and learning and absorbing knowledge isn't really pushed at all. Never mind when it comes to spirituality, and I'm not talking about religion here, because spirituality is so much more than religion. None of that is pushed at all. But actually, our well-being is made up of those three things: our mind, body, and spirit. And like anything else, right? If we're only focusing on one of those elements, we're only doing part of a job. And especially when it's at the detriment of the other things that are part of it, or in the case of well-being, when it's at the expense of our mindset, when it's at the expense of our spirituality, how do we expect to truly thrive when we aren't nourishing all three of those? So my encouragement to everyone today is, figure out what works for you in terms of those three parts of your well-being. For the past 30 years, and 2/3 of it, I spent most of the time working on my physical well-being. Most of it, not completely, but most of it. And it was only about 10 years ago where circumstances led me to the fact that I didn't have an option. I had to work on my emotional well-being. I had to work on my mind. I had to work on my spiritual well-being, and it never ends. It's not like I've got to a point where it suddenly stops and that's it, and I'm all amazing. That it's a continual process. It's a continual process to the day we leave this earth, right? Working on ourselves, working on our mind, body, and spirit. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I know some people might be thinking, oh my God, what are all these things that I need to? It's really not that simple. That hard, sorry. It really is that simple. And the reason why it's that simple, because you just start with something really basic. I remember I started off with meditating, and all I did was 30 seconds a day. That's all I did for the first part of it. When I wake up, do 30 seconds of meditation. I used an app. At the time it was Headspace. I now use Calm. So that's my tip in all of this. Meditation might not be for you. That's fine. Go and find a different modality that works. There's so many out there. Even if it's physical exercise, and being out in nature, because actually, when you get the physical element of exercise, when you're out in nature and connecting with nature, that actually helps your mind, that actually helps your spirit, because you're connecting with nature. So there are really simple things that we can all do, and I know not everybody lives in an area where that might be possible completely, and that's fine. If you're not sure where you need to start, you know what to do to get in touch with me, and I'll be also happy to make some suggestions. Take care, bless up, and one love. Peace.